This meeting of the Palos Electoral Board shall now come to order. Just for the record, and I'll read this once for the record regarding the statement of findings of in-person meeting unfeasibility to COVID pandemic. Please be advised that on December 11, 2020, the Governor of Illinois issued his latest statewide disaster proclamation related to continuing public health emergency posed by COVID-19 pandemic, and has further issued executive orders implementing further enhanced mitigation measures and restrictions. As such, pursuant to Section 7E of the Illinois Open Meetings Act and the Rules of Procedure, and as chair of this board, I have determined that holding a meeting entirely that is otherwise conducted in full compliance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act is neither practical nor prudent because of the ongoing disaster. To the extent necessary, this meeting will be conducted with the option to participate via internet teleconference and without requiring the physical presence of a quorum. I further find that due to the disaster, the physical presence of more than 10 people at a regular meeting, location in the accessible, hygienic, and legally compliant manner is not feasible. Alternative arrangements have been made to allow the public to contemporaneously hear all discussions, testimony, and roll call votes via Zoom teleconference. All votes should be conducted by the roll call, and a verbatim record of this meeting shall be maintained in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. All participants are hereby further notified that by participating in this meeting, the acknowledgement and are informed of this meeting public record. Thank you. Introduction of the Municipal Officers Electoral Board. I am Gerald R. Bennett, the chairperson of the Electoral Board. Also serving as Electoral Board is the City Clerk, Rudy Mulderink, and Senior Alderman Pauline Stratton. These members are provided for by the Illinois Election Code, which mandates our service to hear and pass upon objections filed against candidates' nominating petition. Will the clerk call the roll?
Stratton.
Present.
Bennett.
Present.
Mulderink.
Is present.
Yes. Olson.
Present.
Clerk. Stenographer.
Present.
And O'Connell.
Here.
And Nowak is here.
Here.
And Ben.
Here.
I will now turn it over to our attorney, Bert Olson, representing the Electoral Board. Mr. Olson.
Thank you, Mayor Bennett. Elected members, in your packet, you have a copy of the rules of procedure. The rules of procedure that we're presenting you are rules that are typically used by electoral boards throughout the state, by the State Board of Elections, the Chicago and Cook County electoral boards. They provide for an orderly process of these hearings, allowing procedures for both the objector and the candidate. Having the rules before you in your packets, Mr. Mayor, we would need a motion to approve the the rules of procedure.
So moved.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved by Clerk Mulder, seconded by Alderman Stratton. Any questions? If all in favor, signify by a vote of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against, vote of no. Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chairman, first matter is proceedings on the objections to O'Connell versus Merrick. I've designated as 2020 PHMOEB-04. The first order of business would be the introduction of parties and filing of appearances. So I would ask who is here for the objector?
Donna.
And have you filed do you have your appearance?
Yes.
Okay, if you could tender that to us. Thank you. Let the record show that we have the waiver of service and the appearance of the objector. Is there anybody here for the candidate? The candidate is Anna Merrick. Let the record reflect that Anna was personally served by the police, by Detective Ryan, on the 5th day of January at 6:26 p.m. I have a return of service. We have checked the parking lot to make sure that there is nobody outside. And I am told there is nobody representing Merrick, or she is not here herself. That being the case, we will go to the next order of business. Does the objector have a copy of the rules? Have we given you a copy of the rules?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Next order of business, Mr. Mayor, is to introduce and label the electoral board exhibits. Exhibit 1 is the elector's petition. Exhibit 2 is the candidate's nomination papers. Exhibit 3 is call of the electoral board. Exhibit 4 is the agenda for the initial hearing. Exhibit 5 are the proofs of service and the waiver of service and appearances filed, in this case, just by the objector. And Exhibit 6 are the rules of procedure. Mr. Mayor, we need a motion to accept the electoral board's exhibits into evidence.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Clerk Muldering, seconded by Alderman Stratton. Questions? If not, all in favor signify by a vote of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, a vote of no, and the motion carries.
Thank you. The next order of business are the summary of the issues. I'd request the objector to provide a summary of the raised for the electoral board. We all have a copy of your objections. If you could just briefly summarize them for the record.
Yes, I am objecting to the notary's signature on all paper petitions, as well as her statement of candidacy, that the notary used his initials instead of using his full name as on file with the Secretary of State.
Okay, there's any questions from the electoral board, because we have no candidate.
I just have a question on the notary itself. Is the notary on file with the state got a full signature on it?
Yes, it does. It's an Exhibit A attached.
So this could have been initialed by anybody. Okay, thank you.
Counsel, I have nothing.
Nothing? At this point, we would normally hear from the candidate or the candidate's lawyer, but there's nobody here. We have two options. One, we can rule on this now, or we can. They do have to have another date. You have to come back to sign the decision in person, and we'll probably be coming back with maybe some of the other cases anyway.
You recommend to wait, or in this case, there's no candidate.
There's no candidate. So I think in this case, because there's no candidate and because the candidate was served, that it would be proper to find for the objector and default the candidate. So I think the proper motion here, Mr. Mayor, again, unless there is an objection and we want to push this out to another date, I think the motion would be to grant the objection filed by Donna M. O'Connell on the basis that there's no defense and the objector has presented her case.
So moved.
So, second.
By Clerk Muldering, seconded by Alderman Stratton. Any questions? All those in favor signify by a vote of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, a vote of no, and the motion carries.
So at this point, we need to look at our calendars to see when we can come back, because the law requires that I prepare a decision, and the decision has to be signed in public. We can't do this in the back anymore.
Sure,
It has to be. So if you, when can we come back?
Counsel, once you can, what's your schedule?
Depending on everybody else, I don't want to come back twice,
Right.
and near to you. I could do it Wednesday, but, I don't know if the other folks here are going to want longer time. I don't know if they have lawyers. I just
Correct.
don't know.
Wednesday's fine with me, 11 o'clock, something like that, 11 or noon?
Yeah.
I have a 9:15 appointment in Orland. I can try to move it up, but I can't guarantee it.
Noon?
Yeah, that should be better.
Works for me.
Okay, why don't we do noon on Wednesday? So you would need a motion to recess this hearing until January 13th at noon.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Stratton, second by Clerk Muldering. Any questions? Those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the motion carries.
Okay, Jen, what's the next case?
Ward 1.
Ward one, sorry. Okay.
Thank you.
Alderman, you don't have to come back. The only reason you'd have to come back is if the candidate appeared. Maybe you should come back. Why don't you come back, just in case the candidate appears, and then we can sign the decision and I can tender it to you at that time. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
We got one up next. Price versus. I'll let the chairman pronounce the candidate's name.
Good luck. Good luck.
This is Mike Price. Is he here? Did you see him?
Did we let the next one in?
She just went out there to verify.
Okay, thank you.
I think for this one, maybe you can just, since we're on the record, just the first sentence.
Get him a seat there. Right there. Oh. Somebody's got to sit on the other side.
Yes, brand new meeting. Yeah. Brand new meeting.
You may have a seat.
Do I turn in the sheets?
You will in a minute.
Okay.
This meeting order, the Palos Hills Electoral Board. It's January 11, 2021. I have indicated to the record regarding the scope of the meeting, statements, finding in-person meeting, and the restrictions under the state COVID Act. Governor. I am Gerald R. Bennett, Chairman of the Electoral Board. Also serving on the Electoral Board is City Clerk Rudy Muldering and Senior Alderman Pauline Stratton. These members are provided by the Illinois Election Code, which mandates our service to hear and pass upon objections filed against candidates nominating petitions. Will the clerk call the roll?
Michael Price.
Present.
Pauline Stratton.
Present.
Gerald Bennett.
Present.
Bert Olson.
Present.
Erzina Jurassic.
You're still present.
Whatever.
You can call me MJ.
Okay. And Ben. And actually, Deputy Clerk is here. Thank you. And a policeman.
All right, there's a quorum established. The adoption of the rules. Mr. Olson.
Mr. Chairman, you have before you the rules of procedure for this electoral board. These rules are rules that are commonly adopted by electoral boards throughout the state of Illinois, including the State Board of Elections. They provide for the orderly process of these proceedings. Does the objector have a copy of the rules?
I do.
Does the candidate have a copy of the rules?
Yes, sir.
You do? You do?
Yes.
Good. Unless there's any questions, Mr. Mayor, you need a motion to adopt the rules.
Is there a motion to adopt the rules?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Stratton, seconded by Clerk Muldering. All those in favor will signify aye, and the motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, the first case on this docket are the objections of Price versus
MJ? You can call me MJ. I know it's hard.
Ajay? Okay.
Yes.
It's 2020 PHMOEB-01. Introduction of the parties, the appearances. If the objector has his appearance, do you have that with you?
I do.
Can you tender that to us now? Thank you. Your waiver. Good. Appearance. Thank you, sir. Okay. And does the candidate have an appearance? No?
No.
Okay, here, if you could come up, if you can approach. Fill it out. We have the appearance of Michael A. Price, the objector, and his waiver of service. While the candidate is filling out the appearance, if I could proceed to introduce the exhibits, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, counsel.
Exhibit 1 is the objector's petition. Exhibit 2 is the candidate's nomination papers. Exhibit 3 is the call of the electoral board. Exhibit 4 is the agenda for the initial hearing. Exhibit 5 are the proofs of service, the waiver of service, and the appearances filed by the parties. And Exhibit 6 are the rules of procedure which you've just adopted. Mr. Mayor, we would need a motion to accept the electoral board's exhibits into evidence.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Stratton and seconded by Muldering. Any questions? If not, all those in favor signify by a vote of aye.
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 And the motion carries.
Thank you. The next order of business would be a summary of the issues, and the objector, Mr. Price, is here. Now, we have your objections. Mr. Price, maybe you can summarize those for us.
I can. And I made a copy. May I distribute these to everyone?
Well, we have
Okay.
copies, and you have a copy of the objections.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so to summarize, my objections to the petitions submitted by Marzina Jerzyk Konopchek, is that the right way to say it? Thank you.
Kind of. You're close.
Are based on the filing requirements and election laws from the Illinois compiled statutes 10-5/4. The Illinois statutes and the State of Illinois 2021 Candidates Guide, which quotes the ILCS for the candidate filing requirements, does not say that candidates should do this or should do that. The statutes say candidates must do this or they shall do this. Both the Illinois compiled statutes and the 2021 Candidates Guide are available to everyone and clearly outlines what is required. In regards to objection number 1, as per the Illinois compiled statutes, quote, the petition sheets must be numbered in consecutive order beginning with the top sheet as number 1. And B, as per page number 20 of the State of Illinois 2021 Candidates Guide under petition signer requirements, numbered 4, letter B, the petition sheets must be numbered consecutively, beginning with the top sheet as number 1. Objection number 2, as per the Illinois compiled statutes, quote, the heading of each sheet shall be the same. The same is said in the Illinois 2021 Candidates Guide under petition sheet heading sheet. The heading of each sheet shall be the same. And as per page number 17 of the State of Illinois 2021 Candidate Guide under petition sheet heading letter A, quote, the top portion of the petition sheet must be completed prior to circulation of the petition sheet. Section 10-4 goes on to say that no signature shall be valid or counted in considering the validity or sufficiency of such petition unless the requirements of this section are complied with. So in closing, the Illinois law clearly outlines the legal requirements for candidate petitions, and these petition sheets do not meet these legal requirements and should be stricken. And a final note, I just wanted to say that, as we all know, the credibility of our elections is very important, as evidenced by recent national elections, and it's important that our election process follow all legal requirements set forth by these statutes. The State of Illinois has enacted laws to regulate this election process. These are the reasons I'm challenging the petition sheets submitted by Marzina Jerzyk Konopchek. Thank you all for your time, and I thank these petitions for your review.
Thank you, sir. The candidate, can you respond? Pardon me? Oh, your sheet.
I have nobody who comes.
Pardon me?
Is that for someone that comes with me?
No, that's for you, so we have your information.
That's for my information. I thought that I have a witness or
No,
someone.
no, that's for
okay.
you. So candidate, name, address,
Gotcha.
so we can make sure we can. It's okay, take your time. Mr. Clerk, can we ask your deputy to get the original petition? Do you mind?
She's on her way.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have.
Never mind.
We have.
Never mind.
Yep. Thank you, good job.
Can I approach?
Yes, please. Jen, are these the originals, the ones that the mayors have? These are the ones that were filed?
Those are the original objections.
Thank you.
Were you looking for the original petition?
Yes.
Or the objections?
No, the petitions.
I don't think
Oh, okay. So these aren't the originals.
the three that were, yeah, those are the objections that were filed.
Oh, I see. No, I need the petitions. Thank you. The objections have included copies of the petition. I think it's important that the board view the originals.
Okay.
So for the candidate, you've heard the objections. You have the objections. Can you respond?
Mr. Mayor, Board, Mr. Price, thank you for seeing me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be heard. I apologize for the omissions I made in the applications. I admit that they were made. However,
What was
Sorry, I made a mistake too.
And my phone's on too, so. Gonna stay on.
this one?
That's the initial original petition.
While we are waiting here, Mr. Price also had.
She's still talking.
Well, all right.
can I speak?
Okay, go ahead.
However, this is my first time running. Probably a couple of months ago, I was not even aware of elections happening in Palos City. I had actually a few residents showing up on my driveway because I am actually helping a lot of people in our community with issues that I want to take. I don't want to describe, take your time here, but that's why I'm known in Ward 1. And they showed up on my driveway and they told me they would love me to run for the alderman of Ward 1. And I was very surprised, but actually happy, and I started, investigating the process and everything, but it was not enough time for me to inspect all the laws and regulations. And I admit I made those mistakes on the applications. When I submitted the applications, I was hoping that the lady, which I cannot blame her, I can only blame myself for my mistakes, that, when I asked, does everything look okay on my applications? She said yes. I thought that, everything looked good. So I admit to those. However, I think that's reason for me to be qualified from running, since operators of Ward 1, and I collected the signatures. When it to those signatures that Mr. Price said they were not registered voters, and by what I was told by them, I thought that it's not nice to ask them, can you prove it to me when I was collecting those signatures from them. I just went by what I was told from them. There was one signature, which is my, not next door neighbor, but 3 houses down, that you are questioning that it's not his signature. He was willing to show up today, however, I knew because of the COVID situation and the limit of the people, I cannot bring him, but he's willing to testify it is his signature. And that's all. I would like to have the opportunity to run and let people vote for me or vote not based on my technical errors. Thank you.
Do we hear any more?
Any response?
Thank you for what you said. I think the unfortunate thing is that the law is the law, and this is a process that we have to, as elected officials or anyone that's looking for elected office, has to take seriously. And the process is put in place. The laws were written to sort of govern and oversee this process, and I think it's important that we follow that. If we start making exceptions in any capacity, I think that we open that system up to abuses, and we see that happening often. So I just really think it's important that what I pointed out here is our legitimate concerns in the sense, not even putting the date on. And those are not intentional omissions on your part. This is not a personal attack, but I think that that those are valid. The issues that I brought up, the 2 objections, are valid concerns enough to warrant that those petitions be stricken from the official record. That's all I have. Thank you.
Do you have questions from the electoral board?
Yeah, I had a question. He did not summarize his objections to the individual signatures, which she did respond to. And if all those individual signatures were strict, we would have, what, 24?
We would have, I was objecting to 6 signatures, 5 that were unregistered, and the one that Marzina spoke of was one that was printed, and it was just questionable. But there were 5 that, as of checking on the county roster of registered voters as of the date that I checked it, which I believe was December 27th, those were unregistered voters. And I highlighted on that sheet that on each sheet there were a couple. On sheet numbered 3, I think there were 2, the first top sheet. The second sheet, which was numbered 1, I believe there was 2. And the final sheet, which was not numbered, had 1. So I did put in the objection sheet that even if one of those sheets were stricken by the electoral board, there would not be enough, there would not be the required 20 signatures to validate the petitions as having the requirement necessary to file for the first
So
one.
your argument is if there's an invalid signature on a sheet, then the whole sheet is invalid?
No, the numbering of the sheet.
No, that was a separate objection. I'm talking about having the required number of signatures. Got objections to so many signatures, but he's saying that each page where there's an objection, then the entire page should be invalidated.
I don't think he's saying that, but that's...
Is that what you're saying, Mike?
No, sir. I'm saying that my objection number 1 was the numbering of the sheet.
I understand that.
Objection number 2.
You guys don't seem to understand my question, so that's okay.
No, I'm sorry. I'll clarify if I can. I think I put in there the list of the concern of the registered voter issue. I put that in there in the event that the electoral board chose to strike one sheet or just an individual sheet. And then I wanted to make it clear that even if one sheet was stricken, they would not have, Marlena would not have had enough registered voters to validate her. It would strike the ability, I don't know if I'm saying this clearly, she would not have her 20 signatures to put her on the ballot.
I had 30 signatures.
Yes.
So you would just stricken, like the gentleman is saying, you would have to stricken my whole list of signatures for me not to have enough of signatures.
No, so here,
And I have 20 more at home.
unfortunately, you have to file.
I understand.
So if I can paraphrase what everyone has said and tell you what the law is. The law is, of course, you have to file sufficient signatures. In this case, it is 20 signatures based on the last election. It's 5% of the number of people who voted at the last election, which is 20 signatures. I understand the objector's argument that if one of these sheets, in particular the sheet that's not numbered, is found not to count, to be invalid, then that would leave 20 signatures, and of those 20 signatures, there are 5 more that are not registered, which would bring the candidate to 15. Is that correct? Do I got it? Okay. So let me just say this to the electoral board. There's one big problem here, and as small as it may seem, page numbering is a mandatory requirement of the election law, and the cases have gone all the way to the appellate court that even when there's 2 pages, they have to be numbered. And the reason they have to be numbered are for identification purposes, to make sure that they're not tampered with after they're filed. There's established law in Illinois in the appellate court that says that the page numbers have to be numbered, and they have to be numbered consecutively, 1, 2, 3. If, and I'm only saying this if these all had numbers, then they could be identified, and we may look beyond the fact that they were out of order. But because there is a sheet that is not numbered, it does violate the mandatory provisions of the statute that says they have to be consecutively numbered, and it violates the laws that we've established in Illinois. I know that seems very harsh to the candidate, especially being a first-timer and trying to do this yourself, but that's the law in Illinois. And as far as whoever the clerk was that took your petitions in, it's not the clerk's job to look at your petitions. In fact, we advise our clerks not to give any advice, so it's not to be interpreted incorrect advice. So people sometimes have to get lawyers, consult with the candidate's guide, and make sure that petitions are in perfect form. Ballot access is very important in Illinois and across the United States, and courts strain to keep people on the ballot, but there are instances that the law has to be complied with. This is the case, and there's nothing to rebut at least the 5 not registered allegations. And so even if you counted the other 2 sheets and reduced it by 5, the candidate still would be below the minimum. So it would be my recommendation to grant the objections in regards to the not registered voters, in regards to not complying with Section 10-4 of the Election Code, which requires that petition sheets be numbered and filed consecutively. So my objections for those reasons.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor signify by a vote of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carries.
We recess until same time, June 13th at noon, and a decision. So what we're going to do, I have to prepare a written decision. The board has to come back and sign the decision. There's no more evidence, no more testimony. It's just a formality of signing. Once we sign it, we'll either give it to you if you're here. If you're not here, we can email it to you. Either way. I'm sorry. I know it seems very harsh, but that's the law. I'm sorry.
I understand.
So you need a motion to recess until January 13th.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Clerk Muldering, seconded by to move to recess until time stated on Wednesday at noon. All in favor, signify by a vote of aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Three.
This one was a mess.
Yeah, it is. It's case number 2.
Who's
but it's
next?
3. We have 3, which is case number 02. You're on your own. Rudy, you're going to be able to pronounce that last name, right, when you call the roll?
I have a lot of Polish clients, and I don't even, they pronounce it different from the spelling.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible,
It's not phonetical. You can't, you don't know.
almost impossible. Algarazza is Margie.
Margie, yeah, that's easy. How about the last name?
Mr. Chelsky.
Stelech. I don't know.
We're doing 2 now?
Third Ward.
Third Ward, case number 2, yeah. This is,
Oh, yeah.
because it's not balanced, and it's
She didn't fill in.
it's no biggie.
But she didn't fill in.
Yeah, the other 2 are biggie. Are we still filming when we're
Yes, we're still in.
still on, so people can hear us?
No, this is pure open hearing.
Good. Yes.
So the candidate for the next hearing has a witness with her. She can bring her with.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You may sit here.
Jen? Jen, do you have appearances? You give.
For John with him.
Well, he doesn't have to sign the appearance, just her. This is my back.
Third Ward.
Okay.
I'll call this meeting to order. The Palos Hills Electoral Board. It's January 11th, 2021. As I indicated in the original hearing that we had, we are following all state of Illinois mandates regarding the pandemic as to the in-person meeting and the YouTube availability to the public regarding the meeting. I am Gerald R. Bennett, Chairperson of the Electoral Board. Also serving on the Electoral Board is City Clerk Rudy Muldrink, Senior Alderman Pauline Stratton. These members are provided for by the Illinois Election Code, which mandates our service to hear and pass upon objections filed against candidates' nominating petition. Mr. Muldrink, call the roll, please.
Alderman Tasek.
Here.
Pauline Stratton.
Present.
Gerald Bennett.
Present.
Bert Odelson.
Present?
And the prospective candidate, Malgoratsa Staldelki.
Here.
Okay. Mr. Olson.
Thank you.
There is a quorum, by the way, I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor, the next order of business is adoption of the rules. You have a copy of the rules. Does the objector have a copy of the rules?
Yes.
I'm the objector.
If you don't, the deputy clerk...
Let me have a copy so I know I have the exact thing.
Does the candidate have a copy of the rules?
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, good. These are rules that are commonly adopted by the State Board of Elections, the Chicago Electoral Board, the County Electoral Board. They allow the board to proceed in an orderly fashion, establishing rules for both the objector and the candidate and how the board will conduct itself. Mr. Mayor, you would need a motion to adopt the rules.
Is there a motion to adopt such rules?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Stratton and seconded by Clerk Muldering. All those in favor signify by a vote of aye. Aye. And the motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next order of business is the call of the docket 20-PHMOEB03, Al Pasek versus
Margaret?
Margaret? Is that?
Margaret.
Margaret?
That's fine.
Can you pronounce your last name for me?
Stachelski. That will be easy.
Okay. Statelski. Thank you. Thank you. Is the objector present?
Yes.
And do you have your appearance? Did you fill out an appearance form?
Appearance form. That's this 2-page waiver?
That's a waiver, and then there's an appearance.
Yes, I just haven't signed it officially.
Okay, if you could do that and tender it to us. And the candidate, you have an appearance form, correct?
No. Oh, this? Yeah.
I'll need you to fill that out so we can make sure we stay in touch with you.
May I
have to fill
approach?
it? Jen?
You want to collect the other one?
Again.
And collect the other one?
Thank you.
Counselor?
Thank you. The next order of business would be introduction of the exhibits of the Electoral Board. Exhibit 1 is the objector's petition. Exhibit 2 is the candidate's nomination papers. Exhibit 3 is the call of the Electoral Board. Exhibit 4 is the agenda for this initial hearing. Exhibit 5 are the proofs of service, the waiver of service, and the appearances filed by the parties. Exhibit 6 are the rules of procedure that you've just adopted. Mr. Mayor, we would need a motion to accept the Electoral Board's exhibits into evidence.
Is there a motion to accept the exhibits?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Stratton, seconded by Clerk Muldering. All in favor signify by a vote of aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next item on the agenda would be a summary of the issues. Mr. Pasek, if you could summarize the issues that you've raised. We have the objections before us. The candidate has the objections, and we'll have an opportunity to respond to you. If you could just briefly summarize.
Okay, this is the sheet that I turned in.
Yes, that's the objection.
Okay, so
Yes.
basically I have, number 1, forms were submitted loose, not bound, and that's on the candidate's guide, page 20-D. The signature sheets must be neatly fastened together in book form by fastening them together at one edge in a secure and suitable manner. Second item is incorrectly numbered multiple pages. So the pages on the petition signature sheets at the bottom, there were no page numbers given. Number 3, missing County of Cook under State of Illinois on Statement of Candidacy sheet. Number 4, missing State of Illinois on 3 pages of petitions located below the signatures. You're supposed to fill that line in. And then missing County of Cook on 3 of 3 pages of petitions located below signatures. Number 6, missing the word office, section on 3 of 3 petition, City of Palos Hills. Number 7 item, missing in office section on 3 of 3 pages of petition for 4-year term. She didn't write in 4, the number 4 on that. Missing on certification of deletion sheets, 3rd ward next to Alderman. Number 9, candidate did not initial her 3 deletions on petition sheets per directive on certification of deletion sheet. It says that on the sheet that you have to initial those lines. Number 10, per certification of deletions, candidate certified that she initialed deletions, that she did not initial any deletions, but she did not initial any deletions. Number 11, contested signatures, cited below. On page 4, and that's the page number that's up in the right-hand corner, I believe, of all the pages, line 3, signature appears to be 5 letters, while printed name is 14 letters. So it's a questionable signature. Line 5 and 6, same person signed both names. And that's with the rule 10 ILCS 5/7-10 and comma 10-14. Line 7, name not signed, only printed. Line 8, name not signed, only printed. Line 9, name not signed, only printed. Line 10, city, town, village is entered as PH. Is that Palos Hills? Palos Heights? We don't know. Page 5, per candidate's page numbering, not Cook counties. Line 2 on page 5, 2 and 3, same person signed both names. And there again is at 10 ILCS 5/7-10, comma 10-14. That's the law. Line 4 and 5, same person signed both names, same law. Lines 1 through 8, the city, town, village was entered as PH, not Palos Hills. Page 6, per candidate's numbering system, not Cook counties. Line 1, name not signed, only printed with scribble over it. So was the line deleted? It's kind of a messy line. Line cannot read signature or printed name or address. There again, who signed it? I don't know. Line 6 and 7, name not signed, only printed, and same person printed both names on 6 and 7. And there again, it's 10 ILCS 5/7-10, comma 10-4. With these issues, and the number of valid signatures is less than 16, which is the minimum. Based on the above, and I can't pronounce your name, Margaret Slutsky, should be disallowed from running on April 6, 2021 ballot for 3rd Ward Alderman in Palos Hills, Illinois, 60465, Cook County. And basically, all the paperwork turned in here was just void of attention to detail, and it was very poor. And basically, thank you for your consideration on these contested filing documents. Sincerely, A.J. Pasek.
Thank you. Okay, candidate?
I agree to some of the accusation. I was not very careful to fill up all the paperwork. That was first time of me. But I got question regarding number 7, missing in office section on page 3 of 3 of petition 4-year terms, okay? And Mr. Pasek, I think so, he's almost 18 years of alderman in city of Palos, and he filled up those papers every 4 years, okay? And if he don't know what that say, because he say it's missing 4 years, that say a full term is sought unless an unexpired term is stated here. And that it's not unexpired, okay, it's full term, and I don't miss nothing.
No, you're correct. That's not a valid.
And see, everybody
Correct.
can make mistake, even veteran Mr. Pasek. And about the other thing, okay, that was my omission. I'm sorry, okay, that was not filled up. I was thinking Cook County and Illinois, that's the normal thing because I live in Palos Hills and I can only run in Palos Hills. And everybody knows that Palos Hills is located in Cook County in Illinois, okay. Then that was like, that was omission on my part. And regarding the signatures, I am, and Paul signed my petition, are very angry because they don't know how Mr. Pasek is so big expert on the signatures, okay? I got live person who can say he signed my petition, and may I approach?
Yes.
I got 3 affidavits.
Okay.
Say that it's discriminatory. Mr. Pasek, okay, accuse them to fraud, then they sign my petition. And with those 3 affidavits and 1 live witness, I got enough signatures on my petition
Okay, thank you.
to run for the alderman.
The candidate has tendered 3 affidavits of proof of identity. One for Ida Jorska,
Yes.
one for Teresa Podgorski,
Close.
and one.
That is like middle, like East European East names, and looks like Mr. Pasek doesn't like people from the Europe.
Why don't we spell it?
I'll spell the last one. It's VAIDOTHS RHMANAU SKAS.
So the board will accept these affidavits into evidence as candidates exhibits 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to mark those exhibits 1, 2, 3. Okay, do you have anything further?
No, like I tell you, every kid mistakes, okay, because even with his objection to my paperwork, he made mistake too, okay, and I think so that was honest mistake.
Yeah, Mr. President?
I only have one comment, and that is Pasek is my last name. You're Polish, correct?
Yes,
What does Pasek mean in Polish?
that's the belt.
Belt, exactly. So when you say that I have a prejudice against Eastern Europeans, my last name comes from Eastern European heritage.
I don't know, that could be German, okay, that could be whatever, doesn't
Well,
matter. You see, the Polish names, almost everyone end on SKI, not Pasek, okay?
No, they end in EK
Then
too.
finish this discussion, okay?
Okay, well, I just wanted to let everyone know that I'm not prejudiced against Eastern Europeans because my heritage, I'm 100% Czech Eastern European. So what you're saying is like the big buzz phrase nowadays. It's always, okay,
It's not
that's all I have,
phrase.
thank you.
This is a hearing, not a debate, so.
So if I may, Mr. Chairman?
Sure, go ahead.
So there's 2 problems here. One is the lack of page numbers, and one is the fact that the petition sheets, which I'm holding in my hand, were not bound in any fashion. The statute requires, and the case law requires, that petitions be securely bound. We don't have them bound at all, so there's no compliance at all, and the sheet numbers are not numbered as far as the sheets that were signed by individuals. Although, especially for a first-time candidate, that doesn't seem like a real big deal. It is a big deal. It's not my big deal or these board members' big deal. It's what the state law is. And the Illinois Appellate Court and the Supreme Court have said that we must comply with those areas of the law. As far as the other objections as to Palos Hills or the term of office, those would not be granted at all. And as far as the signatures, they would not be granted. There's not enough proof that those are not the people who signed.
Thank you.
So I would suggest we overrule those objections, but I also would suggest we grant the objections as to the petitions not being numbered and not being bound in any fashion. That would be my
Is
recommendation.
there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion moved and second that the board shall accept the objections or accept the candidates' signatures. But the motion is also to grant the objection based upon the law of numbering and binding of petitions. And all those in favor signify by a vote of aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed, the motion carries, and the objection is granted.
So,
Margaret.
Margaret, we're going to continue this hearing until Wednesday at noon, the 13th. And the purpose of Wednesday at noon will be that I'm going to present the decision that they've just made to them, and they will sign it in open session. And then we will tender a copy to both sides. Or we can, if you choose not to come, we can email it to you. There'll be no more argument. Case is over. Your candidacy has been invalidated because of those problems. Not all the problems, just the ones I spoke about.
Yeah.
So Wednesday, the board has to meet and sign the decision. So you can come or you cannot come, and we can email it to you.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
That's it. So a motion to recess.
Before we go, the board will motion to recess until the next hearing. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. 13th at noon.
I'm sorry. The date is Wednesday. This Wednesday, the 13th at 12 noon.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by a vote of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing's over.
Aye.
Thank you, ma'am. Back to those doors.
Got one left. Jen?
Can you hold up just 2 minutes?
So here's the petitions, and with the other ones. And who's out there? We got more people.
We still on live feed?
What helped you with that? You can go.
Okay. See you Wednesday.
We'll wait for council to get back.
What? Okay.
Yes. What's that? I'll call this meeting to order of the Palos Hills Electoral Board, January 11, 2021. As indicated on the first hearing, this meeting, as I call to order, will comply with State of Illinois COVID pandemic requirements regarding in-house meetings and the publishing of the meeting on the city website. I am Gerald R. Bennett, Chairman of the Electoral Board. Also serving on the Electoral Board is City Clerk Rudy Muldering and Senior Alderman Pauline Stratton. These members are provided for by the Illinois Election Code, which mandates our service to hear and pass upon objections filed against candidates' nominating petition. City Clerk, call the roll.
Gerald Bennett.
Present.
Rudy Muldering is here. Mark Brackman. Here. Prospective Jack D. Done.
I'm going to represent him. My name is Agnes Tolowicki.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to represent Jack Dunajchan here because he, due to family, that he had to fly to Poland in the last minute. That's I won't be able to contest his.
And can you spell your name so the court reporter can put it down?
Yes. My first name is Agnieszka, and the last name Tulowiecka.
Yeah, you related to the candidate?
No, I was his notary public.
Okay. Can I ask you to fill out an appearance form? Did you give her one? Okay. Can you bring it up? And Alderman? Thank you. You both of these? Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Mayor, you have before you the rules of procedure. These are the rules that are commonly adopted by the State Board of Elections and the Chicago and Cook County Electoral Boards. They allow the board to proceed in an orderly fashion. You would need a
motion that the board accepts the rules of procedure.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? If not, all in favor signify by a vote of aye.
Aye.
Vote of no. Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, the call of the docket, the first case is 2020 PHMOEB-02, Mark Brackman versus Jack
Dunajchan?
Dunajchan.
Okay, thank you. Both parties are here and have filed their appearances. The next order of business would be to introduce the exhibits. The board exhibit 1 is the objector's petition. Exhibit 2 are the candidate's nomination papers. Exhibit 3 is the call of the electoral board. Exhibit 4 is the agenda for the initial hearing. Exhibit 5 is proof of service, the waiver of service, and the appearances filed by the parties. Exhibit 6 are the rules of procedure, which you have just adopted. We would need a motion.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Stratton, seconded by Clerk Muldering to accept that evidence. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the motion carries.
The next order of business would be a summary of the issues. Mr. Brackman, do you want to summarize what your complaints are? You can stay there.
Basically, 2 issues. The first one dealt with 6 signatures that were printed rather than written. I went to the county office on Sister O to check signatures. The only one of the signatures that I could find as a registered voter was the one that I put as E. Rafael Chelaniak. I have a copy of that signature, and to me that does not look the same as. I could not find any of the others as registered voters, so I couldn't bring their signatures in.
Which signatures are those?
Sure, you can approach.
Yep, approach, sure.
I believe I gave you a copy of the release.
That it was in the packet, there was any objections?
Any objection? Yeah.
And this is the one, the only one that I found.
Okay, have you seen a copy of the names?
Yes, I did, but I have a number one, the following voters' names were printed, not signed, but on number two, following signature is eligible, and you're talking about something else right now, because if the list is like a printed, not signed, that's basically the registered voters, the signature is the same as a printed name, correct?
Correct.
Then, I just want to explain this point, like many older Polish people, they have very clear signature. If the signature is very clear, it could be used as a printed name as well. It doesn't eliminate, those two signatures. They could be the same. It's just, if the signature is clear, it could be used as a printed name as well. And for the number two, Mr. Albert Luberta's signature, I have him here. And I have a Mr. Luberta here to confirm that's his signature on the list, and he's eligible voters. He's on the list. We print all the lists from the Ward 2, and he is on the list.
Okay, who's with you?
This is the Arthur Luberta, number 2.
Yes. Can we have him here? Can we just
Was the question about where he lives?
no, his signature.
I'm talking about his address, that was what was the question. You live at that address that's on the petition?
Yes.
I didn't, that's not one of the 6 names that I put down there.
Oh, okay. He's not objecting to that, right?
Number 1, there's a
Oh,
five
I'm sorry,
names.
yes,
Yeah,
that one,
he's-
I could not read his signature.
Okay.
That signature is in.
Oh, okay.
And that's all you have, correct?
No, I've got one other issue, and that deals with the notary public.
Okay, go ahead.
I believe according to law, the signature has to be the same as when the notary registered with the state. And this signature is different, and that is what I'm contesting.
Okay, so let me turn it over to the candidate for a minute. The names that were listed, A, B, C, D. I think what the objector is saying is that they're not registered voters. You couldn't find
I'm saying, first of all, I didn't find them, and second, the names are printed rather than signature. I could not find their signatures to match.
Okay, so a printed signature all by itself does not make it illegal. Some people do still print, as long as it's their name. But the problem I see potentially is that you can find them. Are they registered?
I checked every single name before I notarized if this is on the list eligible for voters, and every person were on the list. Was on the list. Registered. That's basically. But my concern is you bringing others up. Those 5 people are ineligible, but usually the response I got, there's nothing saying about it being eligible or not, because if I got the correct response, I'll bring the list, the voters eligible for Ward 2, and I will highlight everyone. But you send me different paper that's only the printed name and signature.
Number three says the following signature is illegible.
I don't have the number 3 in here. There's no number 3. I got the original package.
Yeah, again?
Sure.
Carter, Luberda.
Yes.
I think it's this gentleman here.
That's what he said, yes.
Yes. Where is his signature?
Next page.
Oh, I see it. Okay, let me ask, here you go. Can you swear the witness in? Can you raise your right hand, please?
You solemnly swear testimony you're about to give in this call to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Can you state your name, please? Can you spell that?
Sorry. I'm sorry. Can you take your mask off just while you're testifying?
Okay.
Okay.
ARTHURLUBEREA,
And your address?
10405 South 83rd Avenue, Palos, Illinois.
Okay, have you looked at sheet 2, line number 4? Have you that for him?
I do see that, number 4, yes.
Is that your signature?
It's my signature, but I did sign it on my, to be honest with you, on my,
Okay.
I did sign it on.
when I was given the paperwork, when the candidate came to my house, I signed it basically like this.
Okay. But that is you?
Yeah, that's me.
You signed this petition
Yes,
sheet? Okay. Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, not for that point, no.
Okay. Do you have an answer as to the allegation that these A, B, C, D, and E, he couldn't find them, and I think the allegation is that they're not registered?
No, basically, those are all registered through the list. My point is, if he had the objection that those people are on the list, he should list it on the paperwork I received that I can get prepared. But the paperwork the Jack Dunaichan received, it was nothing mentioned that those voters are not registered. Just the signature. And then the number 2, Artur Luberta, was the one that, it was not acceptable. That's why I brought the witness with me. But I don't have any information that there was objection in regards the actually being not registered. That's why I couldn't get prepared, because I would bring the whole list and highlight every single name on it.
And as to we'll go back to that in a minute. As to the notary, you are the notary.
I am in the notary public, and the reason why previously I had my full first and last name as a signature. When I renew it, I did this shortcut. But recently I got someone tried to steal my stamp and the signature, and I contacted the Notary Public Association what I need to do in this case. They said submit the paperwork to update the signature back to the one you had before, and then they can process it to avoid another fraud. And that's what I did, but they said it takes 3 to 4 months to update again the signature on the application.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Basically, what I'm contesting is the fact that the way it was registered is not the way it was signed on the candidate's petition.
Questions from the board?
The lady that is the notary is the one, you are the same one that notarized this?
Yes.
I evidently didn't hear you spell your name correctly. And the signature that you're contesting, Mark, where Agnes has got her signature, is that the official signature that a notary?
May I show this to you?
Yeah, well, it's the same one that I have here. And you're saying that you printed your name literally.
Yeah, that's what I have, and that's what we have here.
Yeah, that's what he submitted. Yeah.
So your notary signature on file does not match the signature that's on the petition?
Yes, but it's going to be updated.
No, the signature that is on file is not a valid signature according to the way you put your notary here. That's all I'm saying. That's his objection. And whether you're correcting it or not, it's got to go by what we have here at the time.
Counsel, the only question I have is that, under the Department of Registration for notaries, is that I saw the memorandum regarding that it must be exactly as registered with the state of Illinois. I know if you go for a loan or any type of financial transaction with a bank, that unless that signature matches exactly what's registered for the state of Illinois, that bank teller or real estate person is not supposed to accept that because it has to be the signature. I mean, I understand your circumstance, but this is a document to be submitted for a candidacy for office, and just like a signature page, that's critical that those signatures match up to who's registered and whose signature is on it. That's my only comment.
Do you have more comments?
Yes, I understand definitely this is very serious application. It's not like a like application or something small, but that's just my concern is the most important is either I sign this or that way. I'm the official notary public, and then even I testified that this is my signature. I checked the names. I verified everything. I recorded the Jack Dunaichan in my books, and I think it should be valid regardless type of signature I put it on.
And the names that were alleged were printed and not signed, and the objector said that he could not find those names. You said that you did find those names?
Yes, I can. I can come back in an hour with the list and highlight those. I was just not prepared because he didn't actually. I'm not sure why we are even concerning this if I don't have it as a objection on this copy.
What list were you looking at? List you're referring?
That's what I received from.
No, not that. I mean, you said you checked them off of the list.
All the people on point 1 and 2 are listed on the people eligible to vote in Palos Hills, and they are in a Ward 2.
And he's asking you the source of your validation. What did you validate them
We
by?
went to the Cook County and we actually get the copy, those huge copies of the list of eligible candidates, eligible actually residents to vote in Palos Hills Ward 2. And we had every actually ward printed, and they gave us a huge size of it, and that's where we checked the names.
I'm familiar with that.
So we have no verification. Yes, sir.
I'm just saying that when I went to Cicero and looked up the names,
Cicero being the Cook County Clerk's office.
Yes.
In the town of Cicero.
Correct.
They have a facility there.
That is correct, the facility. So she may have found source.
No, the same source. And I have a copy at home. That's, it's easy to resolve because we can bring it back in an hour.
So the problem, as I see it, aside from the signatures, and the signature that is illegible, the witness has testified, and I'm going to recommend that objection be overruled because he testified that is his signature. The problem I see is the notary's signature, your signature, your printed name here, versus the name that was submitted when you became a notary, when you signed, which is on file with the county clerk's office too. Notaries have to comply with their oath as well as circulators. I see that as I don't know how to deal with the signatures because we have no proof. I can tell you in this case, only 12 signatures were needed, and 10, 16 were submitted. The objector?
Right, and so you're going to accept his signature, which he's saying that that's him, so that would be 11 or 12, then I'm not sure.
Yeah, that would be, if we accepted your argument that the other names are not registered, that would bring them to 11, I believe.
Okay.
But I see the more important, I mean, not that that's not important, I see the issue being with the notary's signature as she, I'll turn it over to the board for any of their suggestions here. It's an interesting question since the notary is here.
Just one last question, Mr. Liberta. Do you live?
The washroom, real fast.
I'm sorry. Do you live at?
Washroom in there?
Bathrooms over there.
Oh, okay.
While you're going, do you live at that address?
Yes.
He's testified he did.
Yes. What?
Go ahead.
He said he did, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the board, without any other evidence,
But I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
but
go ahead.
Can you give me the copy of something that he's actually contesting those names being eligible? Because I don't have anything. I haven't received any page saying, because I would prepare myself for the appeal. But this is a copy of the paper that he's actually have objections to those 4 names being ineligible. I have only one name listed as ineligible.
I did not say, I only said that one.
Yeah, we are not concerning. Those 4 we're concerning about a name being printed and signed the same way.
Yeah, the allegation, I think we've taken care of number 2 because the witnesses testified.
Yes.
But the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, he said they were printed and not signed.
Correct. But I don't have any way saying those 4 people are not eligible to vote. And we are concerning those 4 people as ineligible voters, but I don't have anywhere saying that was contesting this actually 4 people.
So I think maybe, unless you have a better objection, we as the attorneys, we will check these names to see if they're registered or not registered, and whether those signatures or printing is the printing or signatures of the person who signed. Because if they printed and that's their signature, that's good. That's
my mother-in-law still does that. Even I'm telling her, like, you gotta, sign it. But that's how the older people do,
I understand. Some people do it that way. The other issue as to the signature of the notary on the official commission is even more troubling because it's not the signature. That's on the statement of candidacy and on the 2 petition sheets. I'm going to suggest, Mr. Mayor, that we recess this until Wednesday at noon to allow us to check those names and to allow us to see what the law is in regards to the name of the notary not being signed, and continue this so that I can go look at the law and look at the signatures. We're coming back here this Wednesday, the 13th, the other cases, and okay with her and the board, I suggest we continue this case to that time.
Do you want me to, by the chance, bring the copy of the from the court, all the words? I will bring it back.
I'm going to look myself.
Yes. All right.
And see what I can find.
That would be really.
But you understand the signature of the notary is still a problem. So
I know.
I
We can like investigate further. What in this situation, maybe if I can prove that it was fraud under this signature or something like this, that the notary suggests me to use the previous name because previous 4 years lies what I had. I was using the name how I say it right now, And then I switched to like the other signature, and they said because of the fraud, they suggest me to go back to the previous full name because it's hard to copy that first and last name. But yeah, I'll also investigate, if what we can do in this case, and if we cooperate, I'll appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I think the motion, Mr. Chairman,
Continuance.
to continue this to the 13th at noon.
So
Recognize Clerk Mulderink on the move to continue the hearing till Wednesday, the 13th at noon.
Second.
Second. All those in favor signify by a vote of aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the motion carries. So we will continue this on Wednesday.
Can I get that paper back?
Sure. I conclude.
All right.
Officially?
Yeah, we're done. Thank you. Yeah, we're all done.
The electoral board will now conclude its hearings for the morning, and as indicated, some of the decisions have been rendered already, but the official documentation will take place on Wednesday, and we still have a continuance on the last hearing, which will also take place at that time. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by a vote of aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Meeting